Good morning, students. Class 7 students. Once again, we will be studying history. Hope you all have watched the previous module. That is Mughal Empire, chapter 4, wherein you were taught about the origin of Mughals and small part of military campaigns. Now here the chapter continues. The last topic which we had done in the previous module, if I am not mistaken, it was Mansabdars or Mansabdari system under the administration of Akbar. So now here we would be continuing with Jagirdari system. Mansabdari system and Jagirdari system. So when we talk about Jagirdari system, it was again related to the Mughals, who in fact Jagirdars were the owner of Jagirs. Now, studying in detail about Jagirdari system, all Mughal Mansabdars were paid through an assignment of Jagirs. These Jagirs can be linked to the Delhi Sultan's Ikta system, where the sultans parcelled out their territories to be administered by their nobles and the state officials. These officials were responsible for maintaining law and order and collection of land revenue. After meeting the necessary expenses, the Iqtadars used to send the surplus revenue to the central treasury. Now, in Akbar's reign, these Jagirs were assessed so that their revenues were roughly equal to the salary of the Mansabdar, which meant shortage in the number of Jagirdars. As a result, they tried to extract as much revenue as possible during their tenure, because they knew that they are not going to stay for a longer period of time. And as we all know, Jagirdari system itself suggests that it is an assignment of a piece of land to an individual for the purpose of collection of revenue. Now, Zabt and Zamindars. The Mughal used one term Zamindars to describe all intermediaries, whether they were local headmen of villages or powerful chieftains. Each province was divided into revenue circles with its own schedule of revenue rates. For what? For individual crops. Now, Zamindars, as we all know, they were believed to be very powerful. They are those who used to collect taxes from the farmers, and as we all know that Zamindars were the holders of revenue rights without obligation to perform any duty other than revenue collection. So Zabt was prevalent in those areas where Mughal administrators could survey the land and keep very careful accounts. This was not possible in provinces such as Gujarat and Bengal. Zamindars in some areas exercised great deal of power. They became rebellion on exploitation. So if we take it as a term Zabt, Zabt was a land revenue system that was framed during the Mughal period. Right? Now, proceeding further, by the end of the 17th century, stability of Mughal Empire was challenged by peasant revolts. And peasants and zamindars of the same caste allied in rebelling against Mughal authorities. This was somewhere down the line when there was a rebel. And here, who had to take care of it? Akbar. As we all know that the main source of income available to Mughal rulers was the tax on the produce of peasantry. And at many places, the peasants paid taxes through rural elites, that is, the headmen and local chieftains. And Akbar's revenue minister was Todarmal. Yes, he was the one who insisted upon and initiated the revenue system that was known as Zabt. Now, coming to other policies of Akbar, that is administration, how he divided his empire. Akbar's empire was divided into provinces called Subas, and they were governed by Subedar, who carried out both political and military functions. And as we all know that each province had a financial officer or diwan. Subedar was responsible for the maintenance of peace and order in his province. Now, alone he could not maintain, so he had a fleet of officers. Each province also had a financial officer or diwan. For the maintenance of peace and order in his province, the Subedar was supported by other officers such as Bakshi. Bakshi is military paymaster. Then Sadr was minister in charge of religious and charitable patronage. Then Fajdar, as the term itself suggests, military commanders. And Kotwal was police in charge in the town, or a town police commander, as you term this as. Now, Akbar's nobles commanded large armies and had access to large amounts of revenue. But their loyalties changed by the end of 17th century. Now, what could have been the reason? Their self-interest. Now, why it could have been so? Because they were having access to large amounts of revenue, but this was all not without the consent of the then Emperor Akbar. Now, proceeding to religious policies of Akbar. Now, Akbar as a person was known to respect all the religion, and at times it is also suggested by the historians that he kept equal distance from all the religion, not favoring one at any point of time. He was more interested in knowing about religion. So Akbar realized early that to establish a strong empire, he had to gain a strong confidence, that is, from his Hindu subjects who were in majority. He followed policy of tolerance and mutual coexistence. Mutual coexistence means to survive together, to live together. Akbar treated all his subjects equally. People had the freedom to worship whichever way they liked, whichever god they wanted to worship. Akbar abolished the pilgrim tax in 1562 and jizya. he got the holy book of Hindus translated into Persian. During 1750s, Akbar started discussions on religion with ulemas, then Brahmins, Jesuit priests, Zoroastrians. Zoroastrians were later on known to be Parsis. So discussions were held in Ibadat Khana. As we all know, Ibadat Khana is a place, prayer hall. Akbar was interested in religion and social customs of different people. Now, Akbar's religious policy in concise manner, it again suggests that in 1564, Akbar abolished much hated jizya. That was a tax. He also abolished pilgrim tax. Pilgrim tax was being paid by those people who were going to visit their religious place or pilgrimage, and then they had to pay that tax. It was very essential for them to pay the tax, jizya. Now, jizya is a per capita yearly taxation. It was levied in the form of financial charge on permanent non-Muslim subjects of a state, and state which was governed by Islamic laws. There were other public expenditures also, but in place of zakat and khams were also the taxes. Now, Akbar also abolished pilgrim tax, abolished forcible conversion of prisoners of war, brought able Hindus into nobility, and apart from that, matrimonial alliances or matrimonial relations, which he himself practiced. Now, Akbar's religious policy. The teachings of bigots often emphasized on the ritual and dogma. Dogma is principle. Dogma which created divisions and disharmony amongst his subjects, and it eventually led Akbar to the idea of Sulh-e-Kul or universal peace. But this never discriminated between people of different religions, as it was an idea of tolerance. Sulh-e-Kul or universal peace are more or less same. They were also given the name as Deen-e-Ilahi. Is it clear? Deen-e-Ilahi was also very prominent during Mughal period, and Deen-e-Ilahi was the religious policy of Akbar. When Sulh-e-Kul focused on the system of ethics, honesty, justice, peace that was universally applicable. And Abul Fazl helped Akbar in framing vision of governance around this idea of Sulh-e-Kul. Now, Abul Fazl was a person who was very far-sighted, and he time and again suggested Akbar, although we know that many of the policies were also related to administration were codified by Todermal. But here, when we talk about the religious policy, it was promulgated with the help of Abul Fazl. Now, Deen-e-Ilahi, as we all call it, the comparative study of different religions at Ibadat Khana led Akbar to form the divine Deen-e-Ilahi, meaning divine faith. The new faith included the good points of all religions. It believed in one supreme God, The basic purpose of the formation of Deen-e-Ilahi was sulh-kul or universal harmony. The idea of tolerance in this faith did not discriminate between people of different religion. Rather, it focused on a system of ethics like justice, peace, honesty, etc., which were universally applicable. Now, Deen-e-Ilahi, before we proceed, this was widely acclaimed, wherein Akbar made sure that he keeps equal distance from all the religions and does not favor one particular religion against the other. Now, Mughal Empire in the 17th century and after, there was economic and commercial prosperity. Artisans and peasantry was benefited. There was very little reinvestment, and Mughals became extremely powerful. Now, how could this happen? As we all know, Mughal emperors and their mansabdars spent a great deal of their income on salaries and goods. So definitely this would have benefited the artisans, as we read it just now. But the scale of revenue collection left very little for investment in the hands of the primary producers. Now, who were the primary producers? The peasant and the artisans. So the poorest amongst them lived from hand to mouth, and they could hardly consider investing in additional sources. Additional resources, what could be? Tools and supplies to increase productivity. And whereas the wealthier peasantry and the artisanal groups, the merchant bankers profited in this economic world. So as their authority slowly declined, the servants emerged as powerful and constituted new dynasties and held command over provinces of Hyderabad and Awadh. Although they continued to recognize the Mughal emperor in Delhi as their master, but by the 18th century, the provinces of the empire had consolidated their independent political identities. So with this, we come to an end of this chapter. And now, proceeding further with an assignment which is of relevance so as to ensure your understanding. Answer the following questions. Define the role of Zamindar in Mughal administration. Mughals recruited mansabdars from diverse backgrounds and not just Turanis and Iranis. Elucidate. So, during the course of the chapter we had discussed, this was again, you have to take a reference of the first section also, yes, where Turanis and Iranis were being considered to be taken into account their existence. Right? You will be getting it. It is very simple. It's just a mention wherein they always made sure that it should be covering up the wider horizon of their existence. Turanis and Iranis were different origin, of course. So, mansabdars not only from the diverse backgrounds, but also from here, because they did not want to confide into a small nucleus, right? Now, then elucidate. Elucidate means expand, explain, describe. Now, describe Akbar's religious policy. Describe Akbar's religious policy, that is, of course, policy of universal peace, Sulh-Kul, or as we term it as Deen-e-Ilahi. So, this is a very easy assignment. It won't take much time. If you are having the text book with you, that will be more helpful. Otherwise, all the questions which I have given you here have been described in the modules. So, you can very easily attempt all these questions, complete them, compile them, and as you all know, you have to send across the assignment to us through the Google Classroom, and the time you have on hand is 1 week, because the other week again another assignment follows. So take good care of yourselves, enjoy doing the assignment, complete it on time, and send it across. So for now, this was all from our end. Stay happy, stay safe. Bye-bye.